Hello and welcome to Module 3, Profitable Candlestick Patterns for Swing Trading in the Swing Trading Masterclass by Wealthy Education. In this video, we're going to talk about reading candlesticks and basically how you go about it. You can see that these candlesticks are all over the chart, and you can see that they have two different colors. That's crucial. In this case, green is positive, red is negative. Sometimes you'll see white positive, black negative. And of course, you can make it any color you want, but these are the common conventions. So a candlestick is made up of what they call the body. That's this part, the rectangle part. And then there will be these wicks or shadows. You'll hear those terms used interchangeably. So it's pretty straightforward to figure out that this is the high of the candlestick that period is being represented by. So in this case, it's a daily chart. So this is all the price action from one day. That's the highest point that the market had reached during that trading session. This is the lowest point down here at the bottom of this wick. So the question is, what does this body represent? Well, the body represents the opening price and the closing price. How do you know which one is which? Well, you have to use a little common sense here. If it is a green candlestick or a white candlestick, you know that it is a positive candlestick, so it had to have closed at a higher price than it opened. So in this case, that would be your opening price, the bottom of this body, and that would be your close. So if I drew this as a line chart, it would look perhaps something like that for the day. You know, we opened up here, we dropped a bit, we rallied pretty significantly, and then we pulled back to close at this area. But on a red candlestick or a black one, you would have, the body would be dark, obviously. So this means that the closing price has to be lower than the opening price. So that's your close. That's your open. You already know that, no matter what's going on with the wicks. And in this case, maybe it looks something more like this. So there's your low. So where's your high? Well, your high is the open. There is no shadow or wick. Now, there could be a little one, and that might be your high up there. So let's analyze a few. This candlestick right here is red, so we know it's negative. We know that the top shadow and the bottom shadow, that's your high and your low. And we know it's red, so that we know that the opening price is higher than the closing price. So the closing price is down here, the opening price is up here. There are other shaped candlesticks like this. This is one that's just slightly positive, and we know that because the body is small, and that brings up an interesting point. The longer the body, the more conviction there is. Just as the longer the shadow, the more conviction there is. So for example, this is an interesting candlestick because it has a massive shadow here, or a wick. What does this tell you? Well, this looks like this on a line chart. That's what that looks like. That means that they couldn't hang on to all of this area down here, the sellers, that is. We turned around and we rallied. We went higher quite some distance. And that tells you there's a lot of buyers down here. That's the power of candlesticks. Contrast that with something like this candlestick here, where there was a little bit of a pushback, but not much. So that shouldn't surprise you that with a longer candlestick like this, we got some follow through. Doesn't have to work out that way, but a lot of times you'll see something like this. There's very little in the way of wicks, for example. So this candlestick here would look like that because We know that the opening price has to be lower than the closing price. We have a slight wick and a slight wick. So that means it spent most of that time frame rallying. That's very important information. That means that the buyers were clearly in control. Keep in mind that candlesticks work the same in any asset and any time frame. This is Ethereum. This is a 1 hour chart. It all means the same thing. Take a look at this candlestick here. We just went straight up in the air. We didn't even bother making a wick on either side. It's a specific candlestick called a Marubozu, which we'll talk about later. But think about what happened during that hour. We just went straight up in the air. When you close at the top of the candlestick or the bottom of the candlestick, that shows real conviction. You know, we got a little bit of a shadow on this one, but it's not a surprise that we rallied a bit further because there was no real wick. Another thing that you need to keep in mind about candlesticks is look at all this red. A lot of times you can determine the trend just by glancing at a chart or noticing which color has the bigger candlesticks. That shows that the sellers were clearly in control up here. Look at various charts, try to figure out, what happened during each candlestick. Draw out on a piece of paper if you have to. What happened? So like in this one here, we opened up here. We know we closed lower. So there's your close. We went higher and we went just a little bit lower. So it looks something like this. If you were to draw out a line chart of that entire hour, you can glean so much information from the charts just by knowing how these candlesticks are constructed. It'll save you a ton of time when it comes to trading.